Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thank you for watching the game before Christmas edition, Rams versus Arizona Cardinals. Big shout out to all of my subscribers out there, all my longtime subscribers. Thanks for all the continued support. For everyone who's just jumped on and joined the community, thank you so much for being a part of this. And if you're seeing this for the first time, please subscribe. You'll find out that you'll like it very, very much. You can also find me on Twitter at Real LA Rams Talk. So let's get into this game. Couple news and notes. I think we've all been monitoring the Todd Gurley knee injury situation, and the Rams just picked up CJ Anderson now, and released Pharaoh Cooper. Now all of this can be traced back to Malcolm Brown getting injured. Malcolm Brown does not get injured, I actually think that the Rams perhaps pull off that game against the Eagles, but also the domino effect of Malcolm Brown going down. Then they don't feel comfortable with Justin Davis or John Kelly. Justin Davis is also injured and is a game time decision. And then so they needed a real running back. So they picked up CJ Anderson and in doing so, they had to release Pharaoh Cooper. My thoughts on that are, one, it just tells you how the Rams think about, or what they think about, John Kelly and Justin Davis. Now, when John Kelly was in there last week, he missed a big time assignment in a pass block, and that will get you. I don't think people really realize just how pass blocking for running backs is considered by coaches. It is a major, major thing, and if you can't do that, then you won't see the field no matter how talented of a runner you are. That's what we saw with Todd Gurley and Malcolm Brown. That's what they did so well, is that they could be, that's what it means to be an every down back, not just being able to catch and to run, but to be able to block as well. And when you have two running backs who have been with the team, it is week 16 now, and it just goes to show how little those two running backs have shown the Rams coaches. So if you can't do these things by week 16, then they have to go out and get someone who is established at that. CJ Anderson, I'm a fan of CJ Anderson. It blows my mind why he was available. In fact, when I was doing the live stream with LT a couple weeks ago during the Lions game, the bartender was a Panthers fan, and he just wanted the Panthers to lose so they could fire Ron Rivera. But I asked them, I said, hey, how's CJ Anderson doing this year? And he's like, oh, we just cut CJ Anderson. And he couldn't believe it, and I couldn't believe it. CJ Anderson's coming off of a 1,000-yard year with the Denver Broncos, and I think maybe there's the timeshare with Christian McCaffrey didn't work out for him. But anyways, CJ Anderson is a veteran. He can pass block. I just actually feel more comfortable with him being the backup. I mean, he's been kind of a bell cow guy, even though he always split carries. He was more of the dominant running back in Denver. So I feel very confident with him, and I also feel that I don't think Todd Gurley is going to play. He might dress. They might give the illusion that he will play, but I don't see the Rams risking that knee against the Cardinals. So I think this game is gonna be the CJ Anderson and John Kelly show, and Justin Davis if he's healthy. So if the Rams can't beat the Cardinals without Todd Gurley, then they have no business in the playoffs, because the Cardinals are bad. I'm going to get into just how bad they are, but the Cardinals are bad, and it shouldn't just hinge on Todd Gurley. Look at the Steelers. No Le'Veon Bell, no John Connor, and they beat the Patriots. So the Rams have to be a more complete team, and hopefully I have confidence that CJ Anderson getting a lot of the first team reps will do that. Now, in terms of Pharaoh Cooper, he was kind of a one-trick pony for the Rams. So Blake Countess, he was returning kicks, and he was also on special teams. And Pharaoh Cooper was just returning kicks, and Blake Countess was doing a better job at kick returning than Pharaoh Cooper was. He was averaging 4 yards more per return. This all goes back to the preseason when Pharaoh Cooper was getting a lot of reps in the preseason as a receiver. And I remember watching that kind of going, he's a Pro Bowl returner. Why are they trying him at receiver? And, he didn't do that great in the preseason. He didn't really separate himself. Kadarius Hodge had a better preseason. So since he doesn't play special teams, not really one of the receivers that they're focusing on, he kind of became redundant. And it sucks, but there you go. He got picked up by the Arizona Cardinals. And I think that's two things, really. I think they just need a warm body there for Josh Rosen. Because their receiving core outside of Larry Fitzgerald and even Christian Kirk is just atrocious. But also maybe to get a little, pick his brain about what the Rams are doing, any kind of advantage they can get. Now I'm going to pivot over to the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl selection came out. Goff, Donald, Gurley, and Corey Littleton, but more of Corey Littleton for special teams and not Corey Littleton for middle linebacking. No Johnny Hecker, no Woods, no offensive linemen, so no John Johnson. And this is if you're a Rams player and you're watching Rams talk, because I know you are, it's okay. You don't want to go to the Pro Bowl. You just want to have that honor, that recognition, but you don't actually want to go to the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl is terrible. No one cares about the Pro Bowl. No one watches the Pro Bowl. I don't want you to get injured. So it's cool. John, just let that be a chip on your shoulder and go out and ball out and show people what's up. So anyways, that's that. Now, getting into this game against the Cards. Oh gosh, doesn't the second game of the year against the Cardinals when they blanked them was a 34-0? Doesn't that seem so long ago when the Cardinals didn't even pass midfield until the final drive of the game in garbage time? Sam Bradford was the quarterback then. Oh, those were the good old days. Remember when we said our Rams defense coming off the second half against the Raiders and the full game against the Cardinals? Our Rams defense is amazing. Yeah, well, a lot has happened since then. For the Cardinals, it's just been more of a slide down the mountain. But the Rams defense really has, the gloves are off with the Rams defense now. In the last 6 games, they've given up 188 points. That's the worst in the NFL. Just to mirror that, in the last 6 games, the Saints have given up 74 points. So 112 points fewer than the Rams. Granted, they didn't play the Chiefs. Granted, that doesn't count the Rams in that mix, but just to let you know that the Rams defense has not been playing well. You know this. So that's just kind of a crazy stat. But I'm going to focus on the Rams defense and the Cards offense right now. Cards offense is the worst offense in football. They are last in everything. They are last in points. They're last in yards. They're last in rushing yards, in passing yards, yards per play, yards per carry, third down percentage, first downs, just total first downs, number of first downs, time of possession. They are at the bottom of everything. Okay, so if the Rams defense can't get on track against the Cardinals this week, I don't know what to tell you. The playoffs are not over, but this is like a preseason game for the Rams. You can't take them lightly, but you should be able to beat them. Josh Rosen, if you can't stop Josh Rosen, their offensive line is rated the worst offensive line by Pro Football Focus. Josh Rosen has 10 touchdowns and 14 interceptions this year. Okay? He is the lowest QBR, the second lowest passer rating. Their offensive line is atrocious. They really only have David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. And Larry Fitzgerald's going to be covered by Nickel Roby Coleman in the slot. So we have our best cornerback going up against Larry Fitzgerald. That makes me feel good. Nickel's been awesome. Plus, I also love that the fact that our nickel cornerback is named Nickel, or Nickel, because there's another L makes it Nickel. Or maybe he knew oh gosh, I don't want to be called Nickel because I'm playing in the nickel. Just call me Nickel. But that's pretty cool. But it's Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson, and that's all they have. In fact, speaking of David Johnson, we held him to 48 yards in the first game. He's only had one 100-yard rushing game this whole season. Very down year for him, but it's not really his fault because the O-line is terrible. But the Cardinals run 60% of their plays right up the gut, right behind their center and their guards. And the Rams are terrible at stopping the run when it comes up the middle. They average, as a defense, 5.37 yards per carry. Yeah, and that's the second worst in the NFL. So the matchups I'm looking at to stop David Johnson are Ndamakung Suh. Ndamakung Suh will be lined up against Mason Cole, their center. He's a rookie, but he's been playing all right. Ndamakung Suh hasn't had a tackle for a loss since week 5. He hasn't had a sack or even a half a sack in 9 weeks. He's got to get off of blocks, and he's got to stuff the run. He's got to make this happen. He's got to man up here. The other matchup is going to be Mark Barron and Corey Littleton plugging the gaps there in the middle. Not really their strong suit, but also David Johnson is a threat in the passing game. He's had 12 receptions of 15 or more yards this season. In the last game, he had 68 receiving yards. And they get him out on wheel routes and screens and all kinds of things. And Corey Littleton will be tasked, I think, with shadowing him and making sure he doesn't break out as a receiver. And if you look at the highlights from last week and all the weeks, David Johnson is like, he's in every one of them, either scoring on the ground or catching a pass. So, I mean, they wheel route him out almost like a receiver, how Gurley was in the beginning of the season. So that's the matchup to watch right there. So also, their offense is so bad that they've had 56 more punts than Johnny Hekker. So, I mean, they're just 3 and out, punting it all the time. They're terrible. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. When you hear those numbers, Aaron Donald's got to get home. They have to get in the backfield. They have to give Rosen a tough. I mean, Rosen is always under duress. You look at the highlights, and he's just constantly, like, you think Jared Goff's hearing footsteps. Rosen has serious shell shock and PTSD. He is getting pummeled. So the Rams need to keep that pressure and keep that going. So now flipping the ball to the offensive side. Now, after rewatching the game, Jared Goff wasn't terrible, right? You take away 2 plays, the one where he just inexplicably, like, he got stepped on through the ball, like that's just random. That's really not indicative of being a bad quarterback or throwing into terrible coverage. That's just making a stupid bonehead play. You take that away, you take the JoJo Natson fumble away, and it's a different game. And that JoJo Natson fumble, I saw someone had on Twitter a picture of the play right when he was losing the ball, but behind him and looking at the field ahead, and the whole field is wide open. And I honestly feel that JoJo Natson saw that and just, like, lost his mind. Like, no joke, he had the punter was out there, but he had daylight, like crazy daylight, and I think he just got too happy and his body didn't know how to handle that. But you take those 2 plays away, they're not too bad. You take that interception on the Hail Mary against the Bears away in the game before that, and instead of having 7 turnovers in 2 games, they have 4 turnovers in 2 games. It's all about turnovers. So if the Rams can limit turnovers, kind of like how they did in the first 10, 11 games of the season, then I think, I know the Rams will win this game and have a great shot. It's all about the turnovers, and they've really been bad. 7 in the last 2 games. The Cardinals only have 6 interceptions on the season. The Niners next week, who they play, they have 2. They have the 2 worst teams in interceptions in the last 2 games. So if Goff can't get on track against these secondaries, I don't know what to tell you. Speaking of the secondary, we know they have Patrick Patterson, and Trey Boston. They need to stay away from those 2 guys. Those are the ones who have 5 of the 6 interceptions. And I would really like to see the Rams throw the ball more to Gerald Everett. That's kind of a new take, but I feel like he is the more dependable target outside of Woods and Cooks. And last week, when you saw the prevent defense towards the end of the game by the Eagles, Everett was getting a lot of action. I really feel like that's what defenses are doing. Not so much prevent, but they're really taking the safeties, putting them further back so the Rams can take the lid off of it, and making everything underneath. And I just really think that the Goff and the Rams should just take that. They should take those underneath throws to Everett, to Woods, to Cooks, to Higbee, to Reynolds, take it underneath. CJ Anderson, Todd Gurley, who's over there, take the underneath looks and passes and be efficient and just keep going and nickeling and diming and chopping wood and do that, and then the safeties will come down and boom, you hit them. Easy, right? Solved it. In terms of the Cardinals and Rams matchup, under McVay, so the last 3 meetings, the Rams have outscored them 99-16. We own them. Should continue to do so. Their big guns, I mentioned Patrick Patterson, but also Chandler Jones on the defensive line. He'll be matched up against Whitworth. And in the first meeting, Chandler Jones had no sacks. He has 12 sacks this year. He led the NFL in sacks last year. So that's the guy on the defensive line for the Cardinals that we need to really account for. And Whitworth is good in pass blocking. There really aren't that many other options for the Cardinals on the defensive line. So it's not like they're getting it like from the Eagles or the Bears from everyone coming in. So this is hopefully Sullivan can kind of get back on track. They can all get back on track. And then also to reiterate how much they miss Cooper Kupp, I was just looking at some numbers and noticed that Cooper Kupp still leads the team in receiving touchdowns. He's played 8 games, and those 8 games haven't been full games. So he's played like 6 full games, and he has 6 touchdowns. Robert Woods, I think, has 5. Gurley has 4. Cooks has 3. But if you want to know how much they miss Cooper Kupp, they miss him in the red zone, and that's been a big problem. So ouch, what are you going to do? So looking for Goff to just nickel and dime, get back on track. CJ Anderson, that's fine. Let him do work. He's a good running back. We're okay with CJ Anderson. 3rd down conversions, that's where we really need to step it up. Timeouts, clock management, need to be better at that. Yeah, I mean, this is an easy deal. The Rams need to win the next 2 games to assure themselves of a first-round bye, home field in the second game, because the Bears have just one more loss than the Rams. And if the Bears win out and the Rams lose a game, the Bears will have to travel somewhere, or we might not even get home field. So this is a very important game. I don't take it lightly, especially with Gurley's injury. And also, before I go, I want to answer Mike Jackson's question. Hopefully, Mike Jackson, you're watching to the end. He asked a question on YouTube about John Johnson, Nickel Roby-Coleman, and locking them up to contracts. Well, they're both signed through 2020, so we have 2 more years after this for them on the contract. So they're both young. We could totally re-sign them at any point, especially if John Johnson keeps it up. But yeah, we still have 2 more years of them, so I wouldn't worry about keeping them now. We have them. We're good. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Watch another video. Rams talk all day. This is the last game before Christmas, and I hope everyone has a safe weekend. It's crazy out there. Just order it on Amazon. Don't even go out there. And yeah, I'll be tweeting it up. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and go Rams.